What's up, guys? George Balekji here with Boston has entered the chat. But hey, check out the latest episode of Respect Her Game. Andrea Fortunati, the masseuse and athletic trainer for the Boston Bruins, joins the show to explain her journey working for Boston's very own Original Six hockey team. Casey Hudson, Annabelle Hasselbeck hosting that episode. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime. You could also watch on YouTube. That's Respect Her Game with special guest Andrea Fortunati. Now, let's get to the chat. All right.
Yes, Lord.
All right.
We back, baby.
I love the Final Four.
Yeah.
Because you know what, man?
What?
The older I get,
Yeah.
the excitement stays the same.
Does it?
Even with the one seeds.
I don't know.
We'll be talking some Final Four hoops. We'll be talking some Mike Vrabel down at the owners' meetings.
Yep.
We'll be talking some trending around Ryan Leonard making the leap going to the Caps. And then also some all-time sports records with Ovi visiting the Bruins and the Caps. Talk about Ryan Leonard in that fashion too. All-time sports records.
Even tough L for BC though.
I know.
Tough L.
It is Denver 2 years in a row too. Last year in the Natty. This was one to get to the Final Four.
Right.
That's just a very well-coached Denver team. We all know that. And that is a team that, in a way, they're like the BC of the West. The high scoring. But what they do is the physicality they bring to the neutral zone, just so important and significant this time of year. I think that's what Boston University does really well. And they're in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Frozen Four again. But that's what Denver does well. And it was just one of those. They played their game. And BC's only goal, it was a hell of a play by Teddy Stiga right before the end of the second period.
Yeah.
It's tough for BC, man. All these first-round picks, number 1 overall picks, number 8 overall picks like Leonard. No natties.
I thought they were going to pull it out. I thought for sure when they didn't go down 3-0, I was like, okay, a little momentum here. They scored, but it wasn't to be, man. The physicality did them in.
It's just Denver playing their game.
It happens.
Playing their game. That's going to be a good one, too. Penn State, Denver, BU, all in there as well. I think that's just going to be a hell of a Frozen Four that they got going on. And Western Michigan, of course, too.
For sure.
All right, let's get talking some Patriots, my man.
Yeah.
So Mike Vrabel is speaking at the annual owners meeting down in Florida. Spoke on everything. Tush push bands, left tackle, Christian Barmore.
Okay.
How he projects Travis Hunter.
Yes.
And Elliot Wolf had a little talking too. So we're going to run through those sound bites.
All right.
Let's first start with Mike Vrabel talking about how he views Will Campbell and Armand Membou as left tackle prospects.
Well, I mean, I think they're great, young, talented players that have great film. You know what I mean? Will's got a lot of snaps at left tackle. You know, Membou's played right, but, you know, there's a lot of guys that have played right and left and switched. So, you know, those are two good young players to talk about in that conversation. But, you know, there's others throughout the draft as well.
Do you view Will as a tackle prospect?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to. You know, I don't understand how, you know, you could watch him play in the SEC, which is the best conference in college football, against guys that are going to get drafted at that position. So I don't think you have to project it. You can just actually watch and say there's the snaps at left tackle, evaluate it, see what you think.
So talking glowingly about both Will Campbell and Armand Membou. That follow-up question was more pointed of watching Membou, do you see him as a left tackle? And he was like, look, playing in the SEC, toughest conference in college football, playing against a bunch of NFL prospects, as he did whenever he's squaring off against a Texas A&M. Multiple guys on the defensive line are prospects in the NFL. Going against Alabama, as always, Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina. Like, week in, week out, Armand Membou saw NFL-level pass rushers, and he's saying, I watch him, and I see a left tackle. That says a lot about how the Patriots view him. For him to name Armand Membou, and then go into, you watch him, and you could see how that move can be made.
But so did Campbell. Right? Like, what am I missing? What's the difference?
Armand Membou's a right tackle at Missouri, 2-year starter.
Right.
Will Campbell is a 3-year starter at left tackle in LSU, but profiles and projects to be a great guard. Membou profiles and projects to be a great tackle.
All his measurements are there. Are you there where it's Membou over Campbell? Because I'm telling you, it seems like that's a growing consensus type thing that I'm seeing, even in these mock drafts.
I am there because when you do watch him, and when we had Taylor Kyles on Foxborough Rush, which you could check out wherever you get your podcast, he spoke about it too. Yes, all his snaps are at right tackle, and he's also playing opposite of Marcus Bryant, who's a really good left tackle at Missouri too. But when the way I watch him move at 6'4", 330 pounds, how athletic he is, all the testing he did at the combine.
No short arms
But watching
there.
the film, yeah, he has a
Right.
wingspan. He has an
Right.
arm length. He has the explosiveness, which you get from his broad jump and his vertical.
Right.
And has the athleticism, which you see in the 40-yard dash. But literally watching his footwork, where he's a lot to clean up, but how fluid of a mover he is, how smooth he is, shuffling to his right, going back into his pass pro, but just moving laterally, it just is seamless for him. And at just 21 years old, 2-year starter at Missouri, he's a 3-year player there, didn't start playing football until he's a junior in high school.
Wow.
Again, he turned 21 on March 27th, so he will be a 21-year-old rookie. That's young. That's not a lot of football.
Right.
But if there's someone you can mold, because they're doing everything one way, you can move them to the left
Great
side.
coaching here, too.
Exactly, with Doug Marrone. So
right.
he has the athleticism to me. He has that profile to him. He has a strength, too. 31 reps on the bench. Like, you watch him on the tape, he doesn't get beat because he's getting out physical or out athletic. I just made up a word there on the second one. But he's just, if he gets beat, it's that these guys may be more technical than him. The fundamentals may be there. His hands certainly need a lot of work. They can get on the outside.
But that's all
But
coachable.
his athleticism and his power is there.
So it's all coachable.
Campbell's getting beat where it is a guy that, like, that's just a sheer athlete getting
Right.
by him at that point.
Right.
And how he's losing. And dude, you go, and there's the step up. So same thing. We're talking about both these guys being SEC players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Man, if Josh Simmons, Vrabel did talk about trading back. If they trade back and they take a Josh Simmons, a left tackle out of Ohio State, not an SEC in the Big Ten.
Still, though.
I'd love that he's a left tackle.
Right.
But I could see Membou making that switch. But to answer what you put up, I do see him over Will Campbell sheerly because when you're picking top 5, you want a cornerstone franchise tackle.
Okay. All right.
You don't want a guard. You want a tackle.
I know we have sound about this very thing, but I'm still going to ask, along this way, you've said, I'm comfortable with Will Campbell. You didn't love him at 4, though. You thought maybe trade back and get him, back in top 10-ish.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way about Membou? In other words, all along you felt like they could take Will Campbell at 4, but in your mind, GM George, your evaluation, it's a bit of a reach for a guy that's probably a guard.
Yeah.
Is taking Membou at 4 a reach?
No, I don't think so
Okay.
at all.
All
Because
right.
even look, go back a year ago. Chargers could have had Joe Alt or Malik Neighbors.
Right.
They went Joe Alt with the top 5 pick, top
Yeah.
6 pick, right?
Worked out.
And they have now Rashawn Slater, left tackle, Joe Alt, right tackle.
Right.
Not as good of a wide receiver draft this go around. But it is, and that's how you can't cheat the principles of football, and that is winning at the line of scrimmage.
Trenches.
And with how bad the left tackle is looking for the Patriots right now,
All right.
that's the thing of you get a left tackle, you're getting a 10-year good starter at left tackle. With Will Campbell, he could just eventually become a left guard, and that's it.
Sure.
So left tackle is needed.
Okay.
Especially righty quarterback, you need both 2 good tackles, and that's where I could see them later on in the draft going.
All right.
But I'm at peace with that.
All right.
Look at the great left tackles in the game. Top 5, you go edge, you go receiver, you go quarterback, you go left tackle.
Okay. Oh, would you look at that? I've reached my quota for talking offensive linemen. Thanks.
We'll talk trading back because Mike Vrabel mentioned the possibility of that right here.
I think we'd be open to everything. I think we'd be open to everything that we felt like could help the football team. I think that's what we have to do. Whether that's stick and pick a player, or if somebody has an offer for us, I think we'd be willing to listen. But there's a lot of options that we have to consider that could help the team.
Stick and pick or trade back.
I'm okay with trading back because I think I get closer to my dream of Ashton Genty as a New England Patriot. Have you seen that guy work out, by the way?
Terminator, bro.
Wow.
Bionic.
Wow.
Robot, man.
Wow.
And it's pro day. It's against air,
Yeah.
but his hands look comfortable. Like he had confident hands where it's all fluid. It's not like he's fighting the football to catch it. Very simple catch, turn up field. He's an elite athlete. His footwork, bro. Unreal.
Raiders at 6 on line 1. I think that's the team. I really do. I think the Raiders want to move
If Shador
up.
falls to
if
4?
Shador's there.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I see it.
Saints at 9's another one.
You could get a better haul for that because you're obviously moving back more spots.
For which one? Saints?
Yeah. If
Yeah.
you go Raiders where you obviously get 6, they're second and maybe a fourth, right?
Right.
Or maybe second and a future second, which is basically a third, or this third. They won't give up their top three.
Right.
But if you get something like that from the Raiders, I would go back to 6. The Saints would have to be something rich in that pricing.
Mm-hmm.
You slide back to 6, that's where things can get interesting, where you are still, could be, in the Will Campbell, Armand Membou range.
I would think
because
so.
as it goes right now for the draft order, let me pull it up real quick.
I got it. Titans. Yep.
They're going to go Cam Ward.
Yep.
Browns are likely to go Shador or Abdul Carter, I think.
Yes.
Giants are likely to go Travis Hunter or quarterback, right?
Or Shador.
So you don't have Travis Hunter.
Yep.
If you're facing Abdul Carter at 4, that's really tough to trade back from. It would have to be a king's ransom to trade back at that point because that is a blue chip prospect for the Patriots. If we're
You're
talking
saying
Abdul.
if Carter's on the board.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't
Or
trust.
Hunter.
I don't trust Travis. If Travis Hunter's there at 4, you stay.
Right.
Now, but that's again with the possibility. Now, all right, fine. Say if there is a quarterback at 4, both Carter and Hunter are gone. So then you trade back. Jacksonville is an anomaly, but I could see them either going defensive line or cornerback, like a Will Johnson, maybe at 5.
Yeah.
And then
They
if you're
could take
back
one
at
of those
6,
linemen, though.
You get an extra second. They could, fine.
They
and then,
could.
So then you get a Will Campbell, let's say.
Right.
You have that extra second. And with that, you can trade back into the first, maybe get a wide receiver. You're solving it.
Yeah.
And you still have 2/3. Maybe you combine those with a second and go back into the first. So you could have 2 firsts, a second, and a third. They could rebuild the entire offensive line in one draft, too. There are a lot of options. Or to your pipe dream,
Yep.
if they go Ginty at 6,
Woo!
but they have that extra second, they have 2 seconds, 2/3, right?
Lyman.
Right? Because they have 2/3 from the Falcons
Right.
draft. A second and a third to get back into the first. An Arante Ursary, maybe a Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you're helping out your quarterback a lot. And then, again, you're trading one of your seconds and one of your thirds
Yeah.
to get into the first. So you still have a second-round pick.
Right.
And that's when you can go a Jalen Noel, maybe a Jaden Higgins. You're helping out your quarterback by rebuilding the offensive line, getting him a run game, and you're getting him a receiver on top of Stephon Diggs.
Our esteemed producer, Ethan.
That was all off the top of the dome.
It was very impressive. GM George, if you could, on the next Foxborough Rush, can we make a wish list for draft night? Because honestly, in that order, I would take Travis Hunter and or Abdul Carter, depending on who's there. That would be number 1 for me, by far, at 4. But then the other one is to trade back and get Ashton Genty. And I just heard a vision of how it's possible. Because I'm telling you, as far as quarterbacks go, if these teams are dumb enough to pass on Shador Sanders, like all these draft geniuses are telling you that they're going to do, the Giants I'm talking about, the Browns I'm talking about, if they are to pass on him, I believe the Raiders, with a Tom Brady in the building who's friends with the kid and the kid's dad in prime, I think the Raiders would be in play, and I definitely think the Saints at 9 would be in play as well. So I think hearing Vrabel say we'd be willing to take the phone call tells me everything I need to know. If Carter's off the board, if Travis Hunter's off the board, I think the Patriots will and should trade back.
It's definitely if Carter and Hunter, because that would mean there'd be a quarterback falling to 4.
That's right.
And if you stay within that top 9, you still are in a fantastic place as well.
Yep.
And they can, even if they stay top 10 and say that Genty doesn't fall to them, but they go with the Josh Simmons, that's a left tackle from Ohio State, projects to be an absolute stud at the next level. And then with the more picks, again, you took that tackle, trade back into the first, possibly, and you could go after and get the receiver or offensive weapon that you want. And this could be get a Josh Simmons, go with an Omarion Hampton, who's seen as a first-round grade for a running back.
I like him too.
Get a Josh Simmons, get a Tyler Warren. I think Tyler Warren goes top 20.
I like him too.
Or get a Colston Loveland. Yes, he's a tight end from Michigan, but profiles like a wide receiver at the next level.
Yep.
Pass catchers, weapons. Protection,
That's
weapon.
it.
Protection,
That's it.
weapon. Protection, weapon.
Yep.
That's where the first 2 to 3 picks for the Patriots have to go.
I agree.
And then they can go D-line. All right, so talking all those possibilities of trade back, what if they stick? Here's Mike Vrabel talking about Travis Hunter.
I don't know how anybody could say how hard it would be. We've never seen a player, necessarily do it. I think that there are some things that he can improve on by, probably concentrating on more than just on one position, but never going to put any restrictions on Travis or any player. We try to, as much as they can handle, that we're going to continue to put more on their plate. And so if he were on our football team and he showed a great skill at one position and was starting to really do well in his conditioning and it didn't fall off and it didn't drop, we would be open to playing everybody that we had at more than one position. Anything that would help the football team I would be all in favor of.
I love hearing that, George. He is so uniquely qualified to coach Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Because of how Mike Vrabel was used as a player himself. He didn't do it full time, but we saw him plenty, especially big games, Super Bowls, AFC title games, playoff games, where Vrabel was used offensively and came up big and clutch, time in, time out, time and time again. I think he is uniquely qualified to coach this young man, Travis Hunter, and I love hearing sound bites like that.
Yeah.
Because it is telling you, if Travis Hunter is there at 4, we will take him and we will use him better than any other team in this league. That's pretty much what I heard right there.
Yeah, and he even laughed when being asked a question. They were like, "You played on both sides." Yeah. And when they brought up Travis Hunter, he laughed like, "All right, guys, come on." Like that, he's different. And he owned it of we've never seen this before, how he could be used. I think he can play both sides. And that is something where as long as he's conditioned, as long as he can sustain it, it's fine. And then there was a follow-up question to Vrabel as well of, do you see eventually him needing to specialize? And I think, and he said, he goes, I think he would need to be more focused on one side of the ball.
Yes.
Because eventually the details of thriving at the NFL level is needed. And you only pick that up if you specialize. But he never wrote off the fact that that's a two-way guy.
Yeah.
And he just basically talked about his potential. He didn't shy away from it. And that's what I like about Mike Vrabel as well.
Me too.
There would be other coaches that would just filibuster, dance around the answer, not give you an exact answer because they don't just want to put themselves in a situation. This is also telling you that that's a guy that isn't afraid that he would have to walk back comments in the future. And I say that because he's basically going, this is how I look at him. So if they draft him, that's how he's looking to be used. And it wouldn't be Manny special. He could play both sides. But he knows in the back of the head that the Patriots no, we only want him at receiver or corner. You know?
Absolutely.
Where eventually, you said this at the owners meeting in March. Why are you saying this now that he's with the team at the end of April? He's discussing how he views these guys. Will Campbell and Armand Membou, they are both in play at 4.
Yep.
Travis Hunter is in play to play both sides of the ball.
Yep.
He talks about his potential and his usage. That just shows and he knows this too. At picking at number 4, he's like, whoever is there, let's go. Even asked, do you know how 1, 2, 3 is going? He goes, if I knew how 1, 2, 3 was going, I would tell you how number 4 is going to go. But he just knows they're all the options, and you see that someone's pouring over something.
Yeah.
How invested they are in this pick. It's huge.
Yeah, listen, I'm still upset that they won the season finale and
I'm more
keeping
pissed
them
they
from
beat the Jets 25-22.
Well, I just
let's say that
you blew the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Call it however you want to call it. I'm still ticked off about that. However, now we're just so close to this draft at this point. Picking at 4, you actually do have some power there because listen, if Carter or Hunter is on the board, you have your pick. If they're both gone, trading back makes a lot of sense, or you can go Membou or somewhere else. So, look, I would prefer them have the first pick in this and be trading with one of these teams. However, at this point in time, I'm not too upset at 4 because I still think they're going to have some cards on the table here to deal with.
I think no matter what, this is considered a weak draft just because there aren't that blue chip high end talent.
Yes.
It's 2 guys in Hunter and Carter. It's still a deep draft with a lot of good NFL players.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a way to look at it.
And there's a lot of holes on the roster still that they need to fill.
Not necessarily a hole, but I'll give a question mark on the roster is definitely their defensive tackle depth. And Mike Vrabel did speak about the updates, what he's seen from Christian Barmore.
As far as
Just his availability.
well, he's by all accounts, I think, going to participate in the voluntary off-season program. Voluntarily be there. This is my point to see how many times I can say the word voluntarily in a 30-second hit. But I write a letter voluntarily to the players and making sure that they voluntarily read it and voluntarily show up. No. He came in with an energy. He popped in the other day to see the doctors.
Okay.
And I knew Christian from when I saw him at Alabama.
Yeah.
Haven't really had any interaction with him. And when he walked into the training room, all the trainers and just his energy and presence, so I know that he's feeling better. We'll continue to evaluate him. It's something very serious. We take the health of our players extremely serious, especially when you're talking about something like blood clots. And we're going to have a great plan for him. We're going to do right by him, whatever is necessary, however we can get him to help us based on days of practice, based on everything that he needs. And we don't have that plan yet, but we're continuing to work through it.
So that is if Christian Barmore is good, and it's good that he's around the building, he's in talks, and as I said, the blood clots. The tough part with it is that there's been that timeline that's been out there that like they'll know more about Barmore come April. A draft is late April.
Yeah.
So if they can know about Barmore before, that'll help them a ton.
Right.
If Barmore is not there, I could still see them going defensive tackle later in this draft. I could see them going with 2 picks on the D-line to build that depth that you need. Because it shouldn't be made up that where the concern was that Milton Williams never played 50% of the snaps or more. All right, Jalen Carter's never played more than 68% of snaps in a season. The best defensive lines in the NFL have depth. Right. So if even Barmore is there with the Keon White, who's great in the B gap, or you could have him, and we'll see how we go in a wide 9 format. But you have Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, Keon White. Those are your top 3 defensive tackles. If they go with like a TJ Sanders late out of South Carolina, maybe a Darius Alexander, more of a project, but a pass rusher, not the best in run defense, out of a Toledo. Guys like that, maybe an Omar Norman Lott out of Tennessee too. Again, these could be 3rd, 4th round picks. That Barmore there or not, those are the guys they should be eyeing. It would just heighten their urgency to fill that need if he looks questionable heading into the season. Nonetheless, it's good of like he's talking about his energy, being around the team doctors, he's around the facilities. Because Barmore, man, that's him next to Milton Williams. Like that is something where great defenses start at the line of scrimmage. Those two in tandem in Terrell Williams' system would be one of the best combos in the NFL.
I'm prayerful and hopeful and encouraged that Barmore will be healthy, George. But listen, you nailed it about depth. Another thing you nailed about this team in particular is the trenches. Defensive line and offensive line depth in this draft. Late in the draft or early, whatever it is, I think there's going to be a concentration on it. So as much as I want Travis Hunter, as much as I want an Ashton Genty, all the shiny toys, I'm also preparing myself for a very real possibility that it's a bunch of big hog mollies. It's offensive linemen, it's defensive linemen, the entire draft long. Although that would bore me to tears, I do understand it, and I understand the importance. And the health of Christian Barmore is a big part of that.
Yeah. And the best part of this, with all these variable shots as well, Elliot Wolf was speaking down in Florida.
Was he?
You'll love to hear this. Here's Elliot Wolf talking about who hands in the card when he was on 98.5.
Brian Smith will turn in the card because you type it in now.
Who gives it to him?
Again, I think picking at 4, we'll know hopefully beforehand kind of how it's going to go in front of us. It's a little bit different when you're picking at 15 or 30. But at the end of the day, like we're going to do what's best for the team. And Mike and I and Ryan and everyone have had conversations already about what that's going to look like.
Do you feel that there were mistakes made last year? And if so, what do you think you need to correct?
There were certainly mistakes made last year. We were 4-13, and just learning from those mistakes and trying to head in the right direction. I felt like I thought maybe we were going to have a little bit more internal development on the roster than we had. And so, this year I think you see that manifesting itself in a little bit more aggressive approach in free agency and, maybe pivoting to some players that, maybe weren't the upper echelon guys that we shot for last year and just pivoting and making sure we fill as many needs as we possibly can.
That first part, never gave an answer. Who turns in the card?
It wasn't him.
Mike, Ryan, and I.
Right.
It's not him.
No, it ain't him.
But he didn't want to go back on the comment where he said he has final say.
That's right. That's exactly
it.
You know what that means? Vrabel checked him.
Yes.
By the way, just in general, is Mike Vrabel not such a breath of fresh air? Not only did he check Elliot Wolf, but even going back to the soundbite before this one where he's making the joke about voluntary and saying it over and over again like you could play a drinking game with it. Like he's just such a breath of fresh air. The pendulum has finally been balanced.
Yeah.
We went from Belichick, who gave you nothing for 20 years, to Mayo, who was too transparent. He put his foot in his mouth so many times being too honest, and he just didn't know what he was doing. And now we're right in between. We're with a guy who can tell you nothing if he doesn't want to, but he can also give you personality and be transparent, be funny, and be cool. I love this Mike Vrabel hire, man. I mean, honestly, we loved it at the time it happened. I remember we did the show live, but at the same time, like, now that we're here and we're getting close to the draft, just his fingerprints, his imprint on all this stuff is fantastic. I love it. It's a breath of fresh air.
I agree completely. Hey, you want a breath of fresh air? Well, check out the Red Sox. They're back. Everyone is watching close to see if they're playoff bound in 2025. We know you have a lot of questions about the Sox future. We asked the players, coaches, executives, and alum those same questions on 310 to Left, our baseball podcast, Red Sox podcast. It's hosted by TC, Alex Beer, Lou Merloni, you name it. The guys you see on Nesson, they're hosting this show. Find out YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcasts. That's 310 to Left. All right, also coming out of the owners' meetings, heated discussions around banning the tush push.
Heated?
Now, this is a movement led by the Packers.
Oh, God.
And the heated discussions, you see this tweet on the screen. Source with direct knowledge of the competition committee's thinking says Green Bay's proposal to ban the tush push has support, but there was heated back and forth and football ops session about the proposal. So the Packers, they put in the proposal to ban this, make it an illegal play. There are two reasons, player safety and pace of play. And their worry is, you remember, NFC Championship game, Eagles lining up for the tush push, and the Commanders, on purpose, one of their defenders kept going offsides, trying to jump the
I do
snap,
remember
right?
that, yep.
And that took over a minute off the clock of the game, and that's everyone watching nationally. Flag, official, go. So it took over a minute. So that's where the pace of play comes from. There was also people saying, like, well, do you want to see that play run 50 times down the field?
Oh, my God.
Right? Like someone else saying that.
No one does that.
The Eagles and the Bills are the only two teams to run anything close to this.
Right.
And out of the over 35,000 total plays in the NFL, tush push, 0.28%. So there's the side, of course, not liking it. And it simply is because they don't have a quarterback or the personnel that can run it and see it as an unfair advantage. Tough. Imagine the NBA eliminated a three-point shot because the Warriors had Steph Curry.
Right.
That's what the Packers are trying
is.
right now.
Nah, it's facts. It's maddening to me, to be honest. Like, in the old school, it used to be, if you can't beat them, stop them. Figure out how to beat them, right? Then we got a little softer as a society and became, if you can't beat them, join them, meaning copycat league, right? Hey, we can't stop it. We're going to start doing it on our own, right? No one can stop us either. Okay, well, this is kind of soft, but at least I understand it. Now it's, if you can't stop them, sue them. Like, this is so Drake. This is so like, I can't beat this guy, so what am I going to do? Sue him. That's what this is. Heated discussions to stop the push tush. Please, you're going to ban this? Why didn't you stop it? Or why didn't you just copy it? Remember once upon a time in the NFL, everyone was doing the Wildcat? Because I think it was the Dolphins. I don't even remember. Perfected it, and everyone thought, man, let's do this. Now, that would be like, we got to ban this. It's an unfair advantage for the Dolphins. This is such a Karen move from these loser teams that can't stop the Eagles. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I admire that they found a glitch in the Matrix, and they're taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
That's their right to do it. Good for them. They got a Super Bowl from it.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, like all the talent in the world, but this was a part of it. And these loser, idiot, Karen teams don't want to adjust to it, figure it out, either how to stop it or do it of their own. So instead, they're trying to shut it down. It's such BS, and it's why our society's so soft.
It's also, there's no correlation of injuries as well. Like, you're saying safety.
Yeah,
well,
it's not a player safety.
Injuries.
That's well said.
I was proud of you calling out Drake finally.
Yeah, I know. You were right. You were right.
Yeah.
I apologize to J. Cole, too. I'm sorry, man. I was wrong.
Man.
I was wrong.
Proud
Hashtag growth.
I'm proud of you, my man.
Right at the buzzer.
That means a lot to me. Yeah, it's the softest thing.
It's a Karen move.
They're like, it's a rugby play. It is.
Yeah.
They saw rugby teams running a scrum, and they took it and brought it to the game, and it's working.
Ask a rugby dude how to stop it then, bro.
Go scout a running back.
That's right.
That is a former quarterback at some level and put him in this position. You don't got a QB could squat 450 pounds. Doesn't stop you from bringing a specialist for this.
That kid Milroe from Alabama looks like he could run it.
Exactly. Guy like him, as strong as he is.
Man.
Because it's one of those plays, too. When he goes in, everyone knows what's happening. You can't stop it. All right, Ryan Leonard, Boston College Eagle. After his sophomore season, won the Hobie Baker finalist. He has signed his ELC with the Washington Capitals. Will make his NHL debut against the Bruins. This is a tough second part of BC's season ending before they could get to the Frozen Four. So a lot of teams do. Northeastern's Cam Lund. Northeastern's season was over after Hockey East. Signed with the Sharks. Scored his first career goal already the other night. Ryan Leonard will be making his debut with the Capitals as expected against the Bruins.
All right.
Cool for him.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Amherst, obviously playing at BC. Here's my thing with it.
Yeah.
What do the Capitals say? Hey, we're about to be there.
Yeah.
Just get your stuff together, hang out in your dorm, and when we land in Boston, we'll get you at the team hotel, or does he just stay in his dorm?
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to make your NHL debut.
Yeah,
You literally
for sure.
don't have to go anywhere. Good for his family, too, who's still in Amherst.
Now, listen, you covered this kid. I looked up a scouting report on him. I want you to tell me if this is accurate. Ready? Leonard should be the kind of player who will score, add physicality to a line, slide up and down a top line in the NHL lineup while endearing himself to his coaches. His play selection isn't always great, and he can make too many unnecessary penalties when his intensity boils over, but he can also be a shift-to-shift force. Is that fair? This was from Bleacher Report.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
really accurate.
Okay.
Because that's what I saw, too, of he plays a grown man's game. It's a 200-foot game. He can play center or wing, and especially slotting in with the Caps. I mean, this is a guy that can take over for Radish on the third line, maybe Brendan Duhaime on that fourth line as well.
All right.
But could just add another depth scorer. But I think it's his complete game, his 200-foot game, 49 points in 37 games for the BC Eagles as well. He's instinctual. He is a high motor. I think of when he was playing on that Will Smith, Gabe Perreault, and Ryan Leonard line. Will Smith was at raw talent. Gabe Perreault is a high IQ. But when I talked to the first two, what they would say about Ryan Leonard, his high motor, his work ethic, no one works harder than him on the ice. And that's what you need in the NHL. If that's his separator, then the Caps will definitely take it. But to the same vein, that scouting report is right. I've seen it in the Bean Pot. I've seen it when watching the tournament of them getting on and trying to find their way back to the Frozen Four, that frustration can boil over. Passion can boil over, and it would lead to some dumb penalties. And that would affect the rest of the team because he is their best player. But now with the Caps, doesn't have to be their best player.
That's right.
Just has to be a contributor on that third or fourth line. I think he's going to do fine in the NHL. I really do.
That BC team has a lot of talented kids.
Yeah, Gabe
man.
Perreault has to make a decision if he's going to go up and sign with the Rangers too.
Oh, that's
Teddy
right.
Stiga that scored the goal.
Yeah.
James Hagen's on that team too.
Man.
Eamon Powell, their fifth-year senior, he's a draft pick for the Lightning. Like Jacob Fowler's going to be really good
It
for the
just
Canadians.
shows you how intricate hockey playoffs are, whether it's college or pro. The most talented teams don't always win this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. No other sport's really like that. For the most part, I mean, we're going to talk about March Madness here. There's 4 1 seeds.
Yep.
For the most part, talent does generally win. We see it. We just talked about the Eagles in the NFL. We know the NBA, the Celtics are the most talented. But in hockey, man, NHL or college, the most talented team does not always win. This
Yeah.
BC team should have won it all.
2 years in a row facing that Denver
right.
team. That'll be cool to see him make the debut. Ovi in town.
Yeah,
Leonard making his
that
debut.
will be cool.
Imagine that too.
Man.
Just a sheer of as you're finding your way in the NHL, Ovechkin's chasing history.
Wow.
How insane that is.
That's crazy.
Talking about number 1 seeds. It's all 1 seeds that have made it to men's March Madness Final Four.
Boo.
Auburn, Duke, Florida, Houston. The chalkiest of chalk since 2008. Second time this has ever happened since the tournament went to 64 teams. It all makes sense though, man. I mean, that Duke team is a bunch of NBA players. Auburn is a bunch of grown men, 22 and older. Broom just running the front court. Houston can defend. They can finally score
Older.
and make shots and
Older
create
team.
them.
Yep.
Florida, the same thing.
Yeah.
That it's insane to see all these ones, but it fits with these teams in a way.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want to see all ones, okay?
But it's really good basketball.
I know.
That's my thing.
I'm all for heavies.
Remember
I
when
told
San Diego
you.
State faced UConn in the
Yeah, of
championship
course.
game? And it was
Yeah.
a snooze fest.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that with this
No.
Final Four.
No. You didn't get it. Well, you didn't get the greatest games you ever seen.
3
in
of the 4
Elite
beat a
Eight.
2 seed.
Yes.
So again,
That's right. It's
it
chalk.
was chalk.
It's been chalk the whole way.
I get your point on the board.
I like the heavies. I don't necessarily want 1 seeds, but it is what it is. And, we'll talk later. We're going to get into this more. I think there's a perfectly good explanation why we're getting so much chalk here in college basketball, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So we'll talk about that later. But look, it is all 1 seed, so there are a faction of people who every year fill out their brackets and they go chalk heavy. If you did that this year, congratulations, because usually that doesn't work for you. We'll see 1 or 2 Cinderellas by now, maybe a 4 seed, 3 seed. But here we are with 4 1s. It is hopefully, knock on wood, going to make great basketball this weekend. This tournament, by and large, has been a snooze fest. There hasn't been a ton of buzzer beaters. There hasn't been a ton of big moments. Certainly hasn't been a ton of upsets. So if we're going to get this chalky all one seed for the weekend, at least give us some damn nail-biter games, would you? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm sick and tired of some of these games have been absolute snoozers. I told you I took naps yesterday. Some of these games were so bad. But I think in the end, if I had to guess, I would say that Houston-Duke matchup is going to be the best one.
I love
We've
that
seen
one.
Florida-Auburn all year long, but that Houston-Duke matchup is going to be fantastic.
That's where I go with this of like the skill. That's why I'm not too upset by it. You love the upsets of March Madness, which we
Yes.
got a few.
Yeah. Not many.
The 4 number 1 seeds, though, I mean, that's Auburn and Florida out of the best conference of college basketball.
That's right.
That's Duke with, it looks like, man, they got like 6 draft picks.
Well, they have
NBA.
the best player in college basketball.
Exactly, and Cooper Flag.
Right.
This Houston team always suffocates opponents with defense.
Yes.
Now they have 2 really good shot creators in Cryer as well.
Yep.
And then Florida, same thing. I mean, I just said it, like Florida, Auburn, best teams in the best conference.
Yep.
Duke's the best team in the country. And Houston, time in, year out, has been a Final Four capable team.
Yep.
It makes sense. It felt weird filling out all chalk, but it made sense.
Oh, you did go pretty chalk heavy. I think
might
you
have-
had ones and twos.
I
don't think you had all
I had
four.
Maryland making out of
You
the Duke
did.
region because of Cooper Flag's ankle, but he looks fine. But I had Houston, Auburn. I believe I had Florida making it to the final.
By the way, just an aside, your boy Willard is the most hated man in Maryland now.
Dude.
Public enemy number one. Hate.
Has to be.
Hate him
What he did in 3 years. Why are you leaving for Villanova?
for Villanova.
Made no sense. I mean, it's the bag.
The money, of course.
It's the bag, but still, it makes no sense.
the
at
way
all.
he did it, too.
I completely agree.
Scumbag.
He rescued Seton Hall as a program.
He did.
It was a dumpster fire.
They
when
said he
got
left
there.
there kind of scumbaggery, too.
No.
Okay.
Anyone that didn't like the way he left,
All right.
just he was going to leave. No matter. I'm not going to get into the minutia. It was perfectly fine.
I was trying to.
It was perfectly fine how he left. It was perfectly fine. I hold no ill will against
Well,
Kevin
they don't
Willard.
feel that way in Maryland.
Yeah, I don't blame him. Hey, if you want to stream the entire Sox season with the NESN 360 annual plan, it's available at an all-new reduced price of just $20 a month paid annually. And for a limited time, get 4 free tickets to Fenway with your purchase. Visit NESN360.com to sign up today. How was your bracket looking, by the way? So I have it.
I have Florida winning the whole thing, so I'm still alive there. But
Yeah.
not great. I picked chalk on one side, so I got Auburn and Florida correct. And then I picked chaos on the other side. I, like you, thought Cooper Flag's ankle would be an issue.
Yeah.
So I think I had Duke losing kind of early, maybe Sweet 16-ish. And I had BYU coming out of that. So I wasn't that far off. And then I did not have Houston or Tennessee. I think I had UCLA. How'd that work out for me?
Mm-hmm.
So I had chaos on one side of the bracket, chalk on the other. If I just went chalk all around,
Yeah, I mean, that'd be everyone. I have Auburn over Florida, one part of my elite
There you go.
Final Four. I have Houston over Wisconsin. I remember that one.
Oh, yeah, you were high
I
on
had Duke
them.
getting eliminated by Mississippi State, though.
Oh.
So it's like, what are we even doing here?
I know.
What are we even doing?
I know.
Not bad, though.
We did acknowledge at the time, though, both of us.
Yeah.
If Cooper Flag's healthy, which we didn't think he would be early,
Mm-hmm.
I thought if the longer Duke went, he could play himself healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, from what we've seen, dude has been healthy right out of the gate. I hate to admit this, being from where I'm from and growing up hating that franchise and that program. But, man, if Duke beats Houston, I actually think the champion's coming out of that game. Whoever wins the Houston-Duke matchup, I think will win this whole thing. Even though I personally have Florida in my bracket, I'll be honest. From what I've seen in this tournament, Houston and Duke are the teams. They're just the 2 best teams.
I'm looking in like my bracket pool thing I'm in. There's someone that is 99.5% correct.
What?
They just went chalk.
They went all
They
chalk.
don't know anything, so they just went chalk.
God, 99.5.
That's why March Madness is
That
stupid.
is insane.
Sports are so dumb. Anyway,
Can I give you my theory that why this isn't going away?
NIL.
Yep.
You just
NIL
poach
and
the players
transfer
from lower
and transfer
lower
portal.
levels.
Yep.
Because if you're good and you ball out
That's right.
for a James Madison, you're going to
Yes.
get scooped by a Florida.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It has ruined it. We will never. Now, we'll
no,
get.
NIL will catch up.
I don't know. I think we're going to get early round upsets, which generally is kind of what always happened anyway. By the time you get to the Final Four, generally you do have chalk, although not this chalky.
Yeah.
I think maybe every now and again you'll get a first couple games, that Thursday, Friday, you'll get a upset. But I think this is the new normal, folks. I think it is going to be chalky from here on out, 1s and 2s.
Yeah.
And now your Cinderella will be a 3 seed occasionally. And I think that's going to be few and far between because of your point. If you ball out at Dayton or whatever, you're not coming back to that school.
Yeah.
You're going to Alabama or you're going to Duke. That's all there is to it.
There's these older guys, too.
Right.
They can make money in NIL at Duke.
Yeah.
And do you want to go make NIL money out of Duke? Duke has a bunch of NBA players. Would you rather do that in Auburn or you go play overseas or go in the G League? You'd rather make your money in the SEC.
Of course you would.
Before you go on to your pro career. It's
and
pro
you have
ball
a
now.
chance to win a natty.
Yeah.
Now, as you look at this, how do you see the natty playing out? I think we're going to get Florida Duke, although I'm rooting for Florida Houston.
I think we end up getting Auburn Duke, and I think Duke wins it. Now, all these teams are good. I know I picked Houston as well, I think, to win it all. Cryer and Sharp are fantastic as shot creators for Houston. Uzon, too. That's 3 guys they have shooting 40% or better from
defense,
3.
too.
Yes, as always. They're always elite, but they can create and make shots. Between Flag, Malawak, Conkaneppel, Caleb Foster, Isaiah Evans, Mason Gillis, who was on Purdue when they made it to the Natty, transferred to Duke, too. That's 6 NBA guys. And when I go back to watching what game was it? Was it Duke, BYU? Am I right there? No, they didn't play BYU.
They played Alabama.
No, I'll think of their
I'll look right now.
Who they ended up facing there.
They had Mount St. Mary's, Baylor, Arizona, Alabama, and now Houston.
It was watching the Alabama game. I don't know what I was thinking. They were Duke. You're watching. You're like, this is an NBA game. Duke is an NBA team on that floor.
Yep.
No, it's Duke, Arizona. Excuse me. That game was ending at 12:15 in the morning. That's why I forget who they were playing. Because why would a game that starts in Newark, New Jersey end at 12:30 in the morning? If you're the committee, why do you want these guys playing their peak of their game for a game that tips at 9:30 at night? I'm done.
Hey, Cooper Flag in that game you're talking
Went
about,
off.
30 points.
But watching it, the shot creating, the making, the defense, the IQ, I was watching an NBA game. And that's what jumps out with me of Duke is that's an NBA team on the floor. They have the number 1 overall pick in Cooper Flag. Come on, Malawak and Conkaneppel. Malawak and Flag control the paint. Conkaneppel, full defensive game. Cooper Flag can pick you up full court. Houston's going to want to slow the pace down, defend, suffocate, and hit their shots. Duke's not going to let you slow it down. And even if you want to play a half-court offense, they're going to make you play 90 feet. And that's how it's going to go. So I really like Duke over Houston. And with Auburn, it's Broome and Cardwell. I mean, you have 6'11", 6'10", both seniors, 23 and 22 years old. Johnny Broome, too, just the numbers he puts up. He's a 20-20 guy.
Yeah,
like 20 points, 20 rebounds. Where Florida is really good.
I love that team.
I love them. I love Walter Clayton. He's such a good shot creator.
They're complete.
But you can't play hero ball, and I think that's what they're going to have to do against Auburn.
Yeah. I'm going to go.
Had tough comebacks,
I'm going to go Florida Duke. The only thing I'll caution you, man, Houston may just physical it up like Denver, Boston College, where Boston College, as you admitted, is a more talented team, but Denver just got physical. I could see Houston trying to slow it down, to your point, trying to slow that game down, mucking it up, try to make it a rock fight. If they can implement that style, they got a shot here.
Florida beat Auburn in the regular season.
Florida's good, bro.
That's a really good team.
They're complete. They're a complete team.
All these teams are complete.
They are.
Like, find me a hole.
That's fair.
And that's my thing, right?
Fair.
Right? No. But I get it. I'm not saying like to dig you saying that.
They're all.
You can make like Florida's complete, and I could go. Auburn's complete.
Yeah.
Florida has a tough shot creators though.
Yeah, they do.
Like Denver Jones is really good perimeter defender. I think he matches up well with Walter Clayton. But Walter Clayton's that shot creator that you need at the NBA level, and maybe that could be the separator between the Gators and War Eagle.
We're tripping. Auburn's going to win it all. You know why? Our boy Fanta told us Auburn was going to win it all. He told us, yo.
This Duke team, though.
I know.
I don't see anyone beating Duke.
Really?
And I kind of love it.
All right, I'll take the field.
Give me Duke. Give me the villain, John Shire, young, good-looking, going to be there for 30+ years.
I'll take the field.
It's Cooper Flag.
I'll take Houston, Auburn, or Florida. Gentleman bet. Nothing to it. Just gentleman bet. Yeah, nothing.
You have 3 teams.
I know. I don't.
I have one.
I know.
No. This is going to be a bottle.
I was just trying to do a gentleman.
I need a new bottle of Akasi Japanese whiskey. It's not that expensive.
No, you know why I can't do this bet?
Why?
Because I hate Duke.
And I'm not letting go of your hand.
I know, but I can't. I have to go gentleman's bet. I hate Duke so much that if I lose a bet and have to buy you something and watch them cut the nets, it's going to be too much for my mental health.
We'll take a walk to a special store that we love.
Okay, now we're talking.
Winner of this bet buys.
Then there's no loser in that.
There we go. All right. Hey, check out the latest episode of Foxborough Rush. We got new episodes dropping every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Everything Patriots. Got Mock Draft 3.0 out there. Let us guys know. Leave a comment. What do you think? New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. New episodes dropping 3 days a week. That's Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love that walk.
All right, man. So, Zdeno Chara was in the building.
I saw
Sophia
that.
Yurchevich was at practice.
Yeah.
We got a special little interview to play for you guys right here. Here's Sophia with Zdeno Chara.
With Zdeno Chara, obviously former captain of the Boston Bruins, but also teammate of Alex Ovechkin, who we want to talk about today, as he's going to be facing the Boston Bruins on Tuesday. I want to start with just his overall aura or vibe or leadership, since you were such a leader in the Boston Bruins room and then you left to join another captain. What was he like as a captain in terms of the culture he established in the room?
Yeah, he's a great captain. He's leading by example, and obviously everybody knows he's an amazing player and such a great goal scorer. But he's a really favorite, likable guy in the locker room, and everybody respects him. And he's just leading by example.
Now, when you joined the Washington Capitals, did he want to include you in that leadership role as well, considering your history?
Well, I think it was just pretty natural for both of us to be understanding that my role would be somewhat in a leadership group, but it was his team, and the core group was very strong as far as leadership goes, and so I was just very happy to be joining them.
When you were playing with him, he passed Phil Esposito, obviously also a former Bruin, at 700 goals. Do you remember that celebration, or what was it a big deal made with him or in the room afterwards? And did you ever think he'd be approaching Gretzky?
I think everybody knew it was just a matter of time. He'll be getting really close to Wayne Gretzky. I think now it's pretty obvious he's going to be passing Wayne, which is incredible and pretty amazing, and just a matter of time when.
Exactly. Now, defending him. Everyone knows he can score from different positions, obviously, but everyone knows his one position from the circle, yet he still somehow manages to get it, even though people are expecting him to shoot from there, expecting people to pass to him. Can you just talk about his hockey IQ and what it was like defending him and how he manages to get open somehow?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that he just keeps scoring from, obviously, one of those spots on top of the circle and power play, but that just shows you everybody knows it's coming, and everybody's trying to defend it, and it still finds a way to score. That's pretty amazing, and only the greatest players were able to do that, and he's obviously one of them.
Was it fun defending him? I know that there's a quote from 2012, so you probably don't remember saying it because it was a long time ago, but it was in a postseason with Alex Ovechkin, and you were saying that you relished those moments, defending some of the best players in the world. Did you enjoy facing him as an opponent?
Yes, absolutely. It was always physical. It was always challenging, but I embraced that challenge and love going against, the top players, so absolutely.
And last one, Alex Ovechkin is going to be 40 as he enters his new contract, the last year of his contract next year. You obviously didn't hang them up until 45. Did you notice how he was, this was a few years ago now, but training differently? Has he reached out to you for advice, or what advice would you give him to keep his body, strong and going for many years to come if he wants to?
Yeah, definitely it's adjustment, but I think he's making this adjustment really well. You can tell that he's not maybe as quick as he was, but he's playing the game with his experience and his smarts, and still finds a way to score and be very effective, so good for him.
Zdeno, thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you.
That's awesome, Sophia, catching up with Zdeno Chara.
Too cool.
Chara, legend of the Bruins. Sophia, great to see her back at Warrior, too, covering more to skate and all that. So, we all know Wayne Gretzky.
Yep.
First all-time, 894 career goals in the NHL. Ovi is 5 away.
Yeah, he's getting that.
So, I know you spoke about this when you're doing your thing over the weekend on WEI.
Yeah.
Best sports records. I want to hear from you because you had the discussion. What do you think are the greatest sports records, the most impressive, and also what did you hear that you were like, all right?
Well, I got a chance to cover Ovi and see a lot of these records as well, so it's impressive in its own right. But for my money, the most impressive is Cal Ripken's iron streak. I didn't even have perfect attendance in school. Okay, I missed days. I would get sick. I'd play hooky every now and again. I mean, for this guy to do what he did, and then people discredit it at the end and say, well, he was terrible. They were just trotting him out there so he could keep the record going. It's like, well, he still showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point. That's the most impressive to me. Bill Russell's 11 NBA titles, 8 straight, by the way, in 13 seasons, I think will never be touched as well. He could have had 12. He hurt his ankle in the finals, one of those. But, yeah, I think those are the 2 most impressive for my money in sports.
Yeah, and Bill Russell changed how basketball was played. His size, 6'10", how athletic he was around the rim, and he can run the floor.
Facts.
Like that's also what led to those rings, too.
Yep.
8 rings for anyone, 8 straight.
Yep.
For me, I start with Pete Maravich, 44 points per game at LSU. Before the three-point line, I don't know if there's any footage of it. I haven't seen any, but you just see that, 44 points per game.
Man.
For LSU over his career, it's never going to be touched.
Nah.
And then also LeBron, 50,000 career combined points, 42,000 regular season, 8,100 in the playoffs.
Yep.
Think about it like this. Luka, Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant all average more points per game over the course of their career.
Yeah.
But they're all injured, oft injured. Embiid, don't even want to go there.
Sure.
It is a durability that LeBron shows. That's what gets me with all of that.
Shout outs to Brady's Super Bowls. Shout outs to Nolan Ryan's career strikeouts.
Yeah.
Shutouts for him as well.
Wilt Chamberlain averaging 27 rebounds per game.
Oh,
We'll never see that touch.
Shout outs to Jerry Rice receiving yards.
Or Wayne Gretzky all-time points, too. 2,857. You take away all his goals, he's 1,963. Jaromir Jagr, second, 1,921 all-time points. That's Jagr's goals and assists.
Wow.
So absurd.
It is.
So
We
absurd.
need to hear from the people, man.
Yeah, let us know.
What are the best sports records, in your opinion? What are the most impressive?
Lewis Hamilton, 103 career
Lewis Hamilton.
podiums. Not even 7-time world champion.
Oh, I knew you were getting Formula in
That'll
there.
be the podiums might not be broke.
Verstappen's going to break something.
He's gonna get a world.
He's leaving
championships.
with
I'm
something.
Convinced. I'm hungry. I'm leaving with something. We're leaving you guys with that one. Let us know what you think the most impressive all-time records are. He's Travis Thomas. I'm George Balekji. This is Boston Has Entered the Chat. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a good one, everyone.